A villain is not simply a person who does evil things. A villain is someone who makes you believe they were never evil to begin with. They do not wear the mask of a monster. They wear the mask of a friend, a leader, a savior. They do not conquer with strength alone. They conquer with words, with trust, with patience. The greatest villains are not the ones who destroy. They are the ones who make destruction look like salvation. History remembers tyrants as conquerors, as warlords, as madmen who took power by force. But the most dangerous of them all are the ones who never had to lift a weapon. They are the ones who step into the light with open arms, who promise peace while sowing chaos. They are the ones who make their enemies believe they are the ones in the wrong. The ones who convince entire nations, entire civilizations, that what they are doing is right. And when it is all over, when the dust has settled and the world is unrecognizable, no one stops to wonder how it happened. No one questions the road that led them there. Because the greatest villains never tell you they are the villain. They tell you they are the hero, and you believe them. By the time you realize the truth, it is too late. You have already given them everything they needed to win. There has never been a greater example of this than Emperor Palpatine. A man who did not take the galaxy by storm, but by whispers. A man who did not need to wage war to rule, because he had already won before the first shot was fired. He fooled the Jedi, the Republic, the Senate, even the Chosen One himself. He built an empire with nothing but patience and a perfect lie, and no one saw it coming. In this video, we are going to break down exactly how he did it. How one man deceived an entire galaxy. How he manipulated, corrupted, and destroyed everything in his path without ever revealing his true nature. We will examine the strategies, the tactics, and the brilliance behind his rise to power. And by the end, you will understand why Emperor Palpatine is the greatest villain ever created. A true villain is not the one who shouts their evil from the rooftops, but the one who whispers it into the wind where no one can hear. Palpatine was a master of deception, a phantom hiding in plain sight. The Jedi sat before him countless times, speaking to him as if he were just another politician. Never once did they suspect that behind that kind and wise face was the mind of a conqueror. He did not need brute force to rise to power. He did not need armies to storm the gates of the Republic. He needed only patience and a well-played illusion. The galaxy believed he was a man of the people, a humble servant of democracy. They trusted him. They even loved him. That was his greatest weapon. It is horrifying to think about how easily the Jedi dismissed him. They prided themselves on wisdom, on their ability to sense deception, yet they saw nothing. They never stopped to ask why a seemingly ordinary politician had such an interest in them, why he surrounded himself with shadows, why everything always seemed to go his way. They did not question it, and because they did not question it, they lost everything. A villain does not force people to follow them. A villain makes people believe that following them was their idea all along. Palpatine was not a man of strength, he was a man of persuasion. That was why he was unstoppable. He did not have to fight for his throne. He made the galaxy give it to him. The worst part is that it was not just luck. It was not a mistake or an accident that led to his success. It was a plan, crafted over decades, perfected with every lie. He did not trick just one person. He tricked entire civilizations. He played the Senate like a symphony, conducting every senator to dance to his tune. He understood the weaknesses of people better than they understood them themselves. He knew that fear was the most powerful motivator. Fear of war, fear of betrayal, fear of the unknown. When people are afraid, they look for someone to save them. That was the moment he was waiting for. The Republic thought they were electing a leader. They were really crowning a tyrant. What makes this so disturbing is that he did not even have to hide. He told them everything they wanted to hear. He promised peace while orchestrating war. He spoke of justice while letting corruption spread. The people cheered for him, unaware that they were cheering for their own downfall. They called him their protector. They did not realize they were letting a serpent coil around their throats. A true villain does not force their victims into a cage. They convince them that the cage is where they belong. Palpatine did not need to overthrow the Republic. He made the Republic destroy itself. He did not need to defeat the Jedi. He made the Jedi defeat themselves. The Jedi were supposed to be the guardians of peace. They were supposed to be the ones who stood against darkness. Yet when the moment of greatest danger arrived, they were blind. They were deaf. They were fools. Palpatine knew that the only way to destroy them was to make them betray everything they stood for. He led them into a war they never should have fought. The Clone Wars were not just a battlefield, they were a trap. Every battle they won brought them closer to ruin. Every mission they undertook pulled them further away from the Force. The Jedi were meant to be peacekeepers, yet they became generals. They were meant to avoid war, yet they led armies. They became something they never should have been, and by the time they realized it, it was too late. They thought they were in control, thought they could navigate the storm, but Palpatine had already won before they even knew they were playing his game. He whispered into the ears of the people, painting the Jedi as traitors. He made them look like enemies. So when the time came to destroy them, no one stood in their defense. No one wept for them. No one even questioned it. A villain does not just defeat their enemies. A villain makes their enemies believe they were never heroes to begin with. That was Palpatine's greatest triumph. He did not just kill the Jedi, he erased them from history, and he made sure the galaxy never missed them. A villain's plan does not end with victory. A villain's plan begins with victory. Palpatine did not stop once the Jedi were gone. He did not take a moment to celebrate. He did not revel in his success. He moved forward, faster than anyone could comprehend. The Republic had fallen. But now, he had to make sure no one would ever rise against him. He turned the Republic into the Empire without a single shot fired. There was no resistance, no outcry, no rebellion. How could there be? The people had been waiting for this moment. He had made sure of it. They welcomed their chains. They believed they had been freed. They looked upon their new emperor with admiration, never realizing they had just handed their future to a tyrant. He did not rule with brute force. Not yet, he ruled with belief. As long as people believed in him, he did not need to fear an uprising, and so he made sure they did. He surrounded himself with the illusion of order. The Senate remained, though it had no power. The governors bowed, though they had no choice. Everything looked the same. It just no longer was. That is how you build an empire. Not through war, not through conquest, but through trust. And when trust is absolute, there is nothing left to fight for. The galaxy had already lost before they even knew they were at war. There is one deception greater than all the rest. One lie that changed the fate of the galaxy more than any other. The corruption of Anakin Skywalker. The fall of the Chosen One. The destruction of hope itself. Palpatine saw the darkness in him long before anyone else did. The Jedi saw Anakin as their greatest warrior. Palpatine saw him as his greatest weapon. He did not lure Anakin with power. He lured him with love. He preyed upon his fears, his insecurities, his nightmares. He made him believe the Jedi did not trust him, that they were using him, that they would betray him. And Anakin believed him. The worst part is that the Jedi made it easy. They did not give Anakin the guidance he needed. They pushed him away, doubted him, isolated him. And so when Palpatine whispered his lies, Anakin was ready to listen. He was ready to fall. And when the moment came for him to choose, he did not hesitate. He struck down the Jedi without regret, without mercy, without looking back. That is how you truly break a hero. You do not take away their power, you take away their reason to use it. Palpatine did not turn Anakin into Vader. He made Anakin turn himself into Vader. That is what makes a villain truly terrifying. They do not need to create evil. They simply bring it to the surface. This is the difference between an ordinary villain and a true villain. An ordinary villain fights for power. A true villain convinces the world to give it to them. An ordinary villain controls through fear. A true villain controls through belief. Palpatine did not just win. He made it so that no one even realized they had lost. His deception was flawless. His patience was unmatched. He did not just manipulate people. He manipulated history. He made the past disappear. He shaped the future before anyone knew what was happening. He became something more than a dictator. He became a legend. He became a myth. He became the very darkness that lurked in the shadows of the galaxy. Even when he was gone, his influence remained. His teachings, his ideas, his cruelty. They lingered in the ruins of the Empire. They whispered in the ears of those who sought to take his place. Because that is what true evil does. It never really dies. It infects everything. It waits for its moment to rise again. And that is the terrifying truth of Palpatine. He was not just a man. He was not just a Sith. He was something far worse. He was the greatest villain the galaxy had ever known.